My life has fallen apart a few times, and looking back now, those were the biggest blessings because it taught me my character. It taught me who I am. It taught me to really dig down deep and to understand that if something is going to happen, I have to dig deep into my soul and really do some self-reflection and understand the path that I want to take that's authentic to me. Because if it's not authentic to me, then it's not going to work.
This episode of The Chiropractor's Edge is brought to you by Mango Voice. Mango Voice is an enterprise-grade VoIP system based in the cloud. Whether you're at the office or on the go, Mango gives you the tools you need to engage customers like never before. This is a product that my team can't live without, and neither should yours. Welcome to yet again another episode of The Chiropractor's Edge. I'm your host, Dr. Jake Hansen. And today we have an incredible lady. Just looking at her, everyone knows who this lady is right now. She is known as the Barefoot Mama. She's the creator of Nest. She's the creator of Free to Be Chiropractic. I have the one, the only, Dr. Courtney Gowin. Courtney, welcome to the show today.
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, I am doing phenomenal. I always love when we have a guest on because I kind of get into a binge mode, almost like on Netflix, where you get to start watching everything. You and I have known each other for almost a year now. As far as just, you spoke at an engagement that I was helping MC at Mile High, and I'd known you a little bit before that, but it was so wonderful to be able to meet you and to see your authentic self. And there's a theme that I've seen about you that we're going to call this podcast today, and it is that no one is coming to save you. A lot of the docs watching right now are at a level of practice where they're doing incredibly well. And then life happens. Marriages get stressed. We see health issues come. We see different things that happen. Or at a level of success where you're doing so great, you want to take a step back and move on to something different. But when catastrophe happens or an overabundance of blessings happen, sometimes we just don't know where to go and we're looking for someone else to help and to guide us. But the true answer is, you have everything inside you. You have all the tools and strategies. You have everything. You are born for greatness. You're born to reign. And this is what I have seen about you. You live by the do or die. Either you're going to do it or it's not going to happen. Would you mind sharing that a little bit with us about your backstory? And then I would love to talk about the retreats you're doing that are empowering and the changes you're making in humanity and how you've developed that. But I want to get to know you. I want the group to get to know you a little bit more for those that don't.
This is speaking to my soul this morning. I feel like to speak to that point, every time that I've gotten comfortable in life or in business or relationships, God just says, hey, girl, don't get comfortable. I have something coming for you. And so my life has fallen apart a few times. And looking back now, those were the biggest blessings because it taught me my character. It taught me who I am. It taught me to really dig down deep and to understand that if something is going to happen, I have to dig deep into my soul and really do some self-reflection and understand the path that I want to take that's authentic to me. Because if it's not authentic to me, then it's not going to work. I've been in spaces where I knew from the beginning it wasn't for me. And I just kept pushing it and forcing it. And it wasn't meant to be. And it ended up falling apart. And so I think there's a big lesson into listening to your true innate wisdom that's within you. Mothers, I always call it mother intuition, but everybody has the intuition that if we can just pause and listen to that. So what it's taught me is to really step back and to create and carve out space into my life to listen. So that's like daily morning prayer, meditation, things like that I hold very highly because you're busy too. I know that you do so much as well, and it's amazing. But I think we can get in this hamster wheel of productivity and to push and to drive. And what we don't do is we don't step away and pause and listen. Whether everything is going great and you're comfortable and you're living the life of your dreams, are you serving humanity to your highest potential? Are you doing the things that God has put you here on this earth to do? If you've ever lost a loved one, like you really do understand life is very short. You are here for a purpose and a reason in just a microsecond. And so whenever you start to realize that, you start to realize, oh my goodness, why am I here? Like, why am I consuming and not producing? That's a big thing a narrative in my mind that I like to talk about is I'm a producer and I don't consume. Like I consume what I need to fill my soul. But at the same time, I'm always trying to produce something.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's chat.
So how have you developed systems or check-in methods to understand whether you're consuming or that you're producing? What have you developed to help you say, whoa, girl, hang on. You're in consuming mode right now. What have you done to recognize that?
I think it's my headspace. And so if I get to a point to where I feel extra stressed, I'm a single mother to 3 daughters. So it's something where I'm like, it can be a lot for me. And then I have tendencies to go like, oh, well, I'll just get on Instagram for a little bit and mindlessly scroll or do this. And like something that puts my headspace out of alignment with me. I get that check-in and I get that wake-up call whenever my emotions start to flare up or whenever I start to realize, hey, I'm not being as productive or I'm not as happy. That's definitely the barometer. It's like chiropractors, we talk about symptoms. Symptoms are a call to change. So if you kind of check in and have that mind-body awareness of your symptoms whenever you are consuming too much and what those symptoms are, and that your creativity doesn't flow. I call it writer's block. I love to write. So I think that whenever you're kind of in that mindset of what you, oh, this is a good point. Let's talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
There
And
you go.
so look at the triangle of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The bottom needs are needs that whenever they're met, so hunger, food, community, everything like that, your motivation goes down. So you're hungry, your motivation goes up. You eat, your motivation goes down. That top need of self-actualization, once that need gets met, your motivation goes up. And so if you resonate in that Maslow's hierarchy of needs of self-actualization, of being in that top space where you're on that, it's almost like labor, that positive feedback loop. Once labor gets going, you get the hormones and the process gets going. So that's what I see as self-development and productivity is to, once I'm in a space where I'm achieving or I'm producing or I'm creating, I get more creative and go and go and go and go. And that's where I like to reside, and it's a good check-in. If you can read that pyramid and kind of see where you're at, that's probably the best system that I've developed, but it's a journey and I'm not perfect. And there's by no means any way that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just producing all the time. But that's like where the space I like to rest my brain in.
And you hit something really important is you need to understand how you work, and when you understand your headspace and you understand when you're on track, that's when you can understand either, again, if you're being a consumer or producer with me, I call it being a student of my calendar. So I realized that when I get to a point where I'm like, oh, shoot, I had a meeting that I missed. Oh, shoot, like, how did I skip my workout? I realized that I haven't been owning my priorities. One thing we say here is that when you feel overwhelm is a sign of major abundance, but you're not prioritizing things correctly. So it seems overwhelming. So when you're able to prioritize, like you said, if your basic needs are met, what's the next step? Okay, what's the next step? And having accountability to yourself, not lying to yourself is absolutely critical. So thank you for sharing that.
And I think sometimes too, that's a big reason why I created the retreats, is because a lot of my healing came from taking time to disconnect to reconnect. And so carving out space or knowing your space of overwhelm, mental capacity, and taking a step away. For me, we just talked about like, let's hop on a 2-hour flight to Mexico. Like it's something to where you can disconnect, pause, reflect, feel, and then reconnect with you, your soul purpose, and what you're doing. So I think that's a big thing to carve in as well, is your time, your self-care, your ability to press pause.
I absolutely love interviewing incredible people just like yourself who doesn't have their own personal trials. I know I do. I have my personal health crises and things I've had to battle, but you put different people on pedestals, right? And to hear them say the same things, here's what I do. I start my day with prayer. I start my day with meditation. I start my day with scripture. I start my day, I do my cold bath. I do my supplements. I get my spine checked. You hear the same things, but it always starts with the mindset. It always starts with being able to connect to the priorities that allow you to have super success. I love that. And whenever we follow you, it's so incredible to see you're constantly churning out incredible ideas. I mean, your vision is so incredibly, it is powerful. And for those that are wanting to understand who you are more, tell us about how we got to the point of where you're creating these incredible retreats. Tell us about your practice. Tell us about Nest and the community you created, not only within your practice members, those you serve, but with the other doctors and practitioners you have. And then I love to talk about the retreats and the incredible things that you're doing over there.
The common factor of anybody with resilience that's a leader that I've seen and interviewed and had the blessing to spend time with has been resiliency and the ability to see trials as gifts. I think that you spoke on like health crises, and I went through a divorce. Hell, I was in a wheelchair, like all these things, went through postpartum depression. In the moment, I was so lucky to have the accountability and the people in my life to say, Courtney, this is your gift. This is happening for you and not to you. You can be a victim or a victor over this. And I was very lucky to learn that early on in life. And so any type of major crisis or hard thing that I've been through, it has been a huge gift to me. And so, for example, I went through postpartum depression with my first daughter. That was the biggest gift, is because it gave me the vision of the nest. And I vowed, after bringing in all these practitioners together, to never, ever let another woman go through that feeling again. Through the nest, we have 3 prenatal chiropractors, 4 massage therapists, an esthetician, a homeopath, a holistic healer, an acupuncturist, a pelvic floor PT, a speech and language pathologist, and ozone and IVs with a holistic practitioner. So we have that. And then I think too, chiropractors, whenever you get so clear in your message and you stand by the vitalistic principles, you draw in a different crowd. And so we have had pediatricians come to us wanting to partner with us because of our viewpoint on how we see kids and health and working together and being able to work in conjunction with them. So the nest is taking on like the beast of its own. I feel like God gave me the vision to license out the nest. So we're going to be licensing it out hopefully by the end of next year or 2 years from now, and being able to create a community of female entrepreneurs that are running this holistic community together. And the pediatrician that we are partnering with, he has the capability to be a pediatrician in every nest that we open up. So we're bringing in the communities together with physical therapy, pediatricians, OBGYNs, chiropractors, holistic practitioners, and bridging that gap and creating a space for women to come in to fill that void in the maternal health crisis. And so it's been an amazing, amazing opportunity to do that. I've been able to step outside the profession and see what our viewpoint as chiropractors and the gift that we bring people to. And it's a different viewpoint on health that is so innately true in women and doctors and everybody. And they really understand that this is truth. It just needs to be uncovered by chiropractors. And when we bring a business model, a plan, and execution of what we're going to be doing in that space, it can be transformative.
That is so powerful, because it's interesting. When you yourself going through divorce, I know it's common to hear people where they know that they're not the only ones who've gone through this, but it can feel that way. When you're going through postpartum, I can't tell you how many women said, well, like my mother didn't go through this, or my sister didn't, or my neighbor didn't, or my pastor's wife didn't. So what's wrong with me? They silently, and I'm going to get super emotional here, they silently go through that crisis alone. And some are able to learn and see the light and the love and the lessons in that, and some do not. So what you've created is so powerful for women, but also for doctors. We have such an incredible connection with our practice with so many of our OBs and PTs, because we have brought to a light something that they've been looking for so long, and we had to show them. And the common thing we constantly hear is, that's what you do?
Yeah.
That's what you do? How come I thought you did this? I'm like, well, we don't. This is what we do. To see that you're creating that, and huge congrats on the licensure. Oh my gosh, that is massive. If you're looking, the fastest way to get to any destination is to find someone who's already there and ask for directions. You can either create something on your own, or you could join something massively like this. I mean, what a huge opportunity. That's amazing. So that's Nest in a nutshell. You've literally created a nest of these incredible practitioners who are the best in their fields, to give women, to help them hear their own voice and recognize their voice, but to also have paths where they can physically, emotionally, and chemically heal. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. So that's been incredible. It's been a journey. And I can't tell you how many people over the past 9.5 years I've been in practice, women who have come in and I've been called to the other room, and my assistant will say, hey, you need to step back here. And I'll step back, and they'll just be falling apart crying. And gratitude of saying, if I didn't have this place, I don't think I'd be here. I didn't love my baby. Like I was like in a space of postpartum, and to be able to carve out a community for just one person, chiropractors, like you have the potential to save lives. Like it's a very true statement, because what you do and what you create, like you never know the ripple effect of just having a business, no matter how successful or how unsuccessful or whatever you want to title it.
Tell us about the retreats that you have created, how you are, like you talked about, when you are disconnecting to reconnect. What is your focus of the retreats? And what are some of the amazing things you've already seen?
And blessing number 2, definitely kind of fell apart emotionally after my divorce. And then physically, I blew out 2 discs in my back and after an old injury, and was in like a space of like physical, emotional breakdown. And I would take time and I would go be by the ocean and teach yoga by the ocean. And it was always in Mexico and Costa Rica. Throughout that time of healing, move my body every single day, eat organic food, pause, meditate, pray, spend time in nature to like really disconnect. And then after coming back and feeling fully healed from a lot of those trips, I said, other people need this. And so I feel like I had that vision given to me about 4 years ago. And I wrote it in my phone on a plane on the way to Sherman, actually. And I was like, man, I really want to do this. And I kind of shelved it for a little bit. And then after going through a breakdown, I was like, it's time to do this. And so last year, like in the middle of COVID, I guess tail into COVID, I was like, I'm going to launch a travel business. That sounds like a great time to do it. And so people thought I was crazy, but I was like, no, because when this is over, people are going to be hungry for traveling. So we launched our first one last January, and we had 28 people. This actually worked. And then we did Costa Rica last year as well, and that one sold out. And then our one coming up in January again. So this will be my year number 2 in it. This one in January, it actually ended up being, we have 19 signed up so far. And it's midwives, pelvic floor PTs, chiropractors, and like health coaches. I was like, are we going to just open a nest in Mexico? I was like, we just need someone to come give birth down here. So and then I do one CE retreat a year. That's with Christina Stitcher. And we do that one in Costa Rica. That's like a zip line adventure, fun, kind of like a pause, but also be with other chiropractors and get your CEs like laying out by the pool. That's one of my favorite ones to host. And then the final one that I'm going to do this year is I need to get over to Europe or Bali and look at venues of the best location. But that one's going to be a Design Your Dream Life retreat. And then also a retreat where I help you design and teach you to host retreats. So if you're like interested in the retreat space, you have no idea where to start. I taught yoga in the Caribbean for 12 years. And so I had the ability to have those connections and contracts and things like that just from people that I had connected with. But if you don't have that one at the end of the year, Europe or Bali is going to be, hey, let's design your retreat. I'll give you my contracts. I'll teach you how to do it. And then you can go influence your community and be that blessing to your community.
That is so incredible. The first opportunity I had to do a real serious retreat out of the country, it was in the British Virgin Islands on a private island. And it was transformative. It was so transformative. And I didn't realize how desperately I needed that. And I was at a point where we have great freedom. We could do what we want when we want, but I didn't realize that I needed that on a much deeper level that I didn't realize, but it came out there. And I can honestly say I had a physical and spiritual shift doing that. And I love that's what you're creating. And docs, what Courtney's talking about here is really important. You need to have a big ticket item. You need to have an item that not only were you creating massive value for people, if you want more money, create more value for people, give them more value. You need to grow exponentially and have other people help them build their vision by helping them build yours. But what an opportunity to learn from a master on how to do something like this, on how to build a retreat. I would highly, highly recommend for those of you who are wanting to get into her realm, who are wanting to create or build a community, she will show you how she has built an incredible community, not only in her private practice, but with these incredible practitioners where now people flock to her. I know you're on radio shows all over the country, you're on TV shows all over the place. So, I mean, it's an honor for us to have you on. But I'm so honored because you're always willing to give. You're always willing to create value and to show the people the way. You have not been a victim. You have been an incredible victor. After your postpartum, did you feel after your divorce? I know you probably wanted to have hope, but did you ever envision this part of your life ever happen, coming to fruition? Did you hope for this? Did this ever become a vision?
No, I think in the middle of it, you kind of are literally like in the thick of it, and you can't really see outside of where you can go. The mindset and the ability to just have perseverance, like definitely during labor, whenever a mother is in labor, you can't see the baby physically in your hand, but you can see the baby in your heart, and you kind of know that something good is coming, but you have to pause and sit with the pain and the contractions and the rhythm before you get to where that your plan for your life. And so I guess that's the best answer for that, because it's just, I never envisioned I bought my dream house this year. I just bought my dream car. Those are physical things I know, but they're also they're symbols of things of freedom for me that I have created and carved out, being able to overcome, but still, there's scars, like you always see them, you always feel them, and you know them, you never forget about them. But to be in the space of healing and being able to be healed and living in abundance.
We hear a lot of people that said, I had a vision for this, but I didn't have the tools or the strategies or the people or to do it. And several where they said, it was literally a step at a time. I had to embrace the suck.
Anybody successful, odds are they've lost it all at least 5 times, because it's hard. It's hard to go through and build these things. And anybody who tells you they have it all together and it was easy, they lying. That's what they're doing. So I think I completely agree with you on that one.
We can look at people of, wow, here's someone who they're at a point right now of where I want to be. And when they ask hey, I want to be exactly like you, they would have to go through all the turmoil as well.
No,
so you guys, learn from what Courtney's gone through and become part of what she's done. When I had a traumatic brain injury about 10 years ago, and I had a recent traumatic brain injury, neck injury, total fluke injuries. And I had a dear friend he's a former Marine. He is not a hug ya, words of kindness guy. And he could tell I was struggling. He's like, dude, Jake, what the heck, man? Like, you're not who you are. He's like, I'm going to give you some advice. I want you to write this down, man. He's like, I was like, really? He's like, yeah, man, I want you to write this down. So I get my phone out and he's like, all right, number 1, I want you to go get a straw. I'm like, oh, okay. There's a number 2, suck it up, man. And he goes, and he brought some humor into it, but he's like, listen, man, you are in the deep of suck right now. He's like, you have to embrace this. It will either destroy your life and you'll be a victim the rest of your life, or you will be a victor. What lesson are you going to let your life take hold of from this moment? And you guys, to see, and again, Courtney, it does my heart to see where you are right now. And I know this isn't the end. I know this is not the end. But to see where you are going and who else you are elevating to get there is so wonderful. So you guys, please follow Courtney. We're going to have her information here below. Join her in her mission to transform lives as she's doing it as a barefoot mama. We're so grateful for you, Courtney. We love and appreciate you. Thank you for changing our lives. Aww. And we look forward to seeing how you continually grow and change the world through your efforts. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.